Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Brian E Roach.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Brian E Roach, the host who doesn't like toast. I still don't like toast, but also the host who is insane. So we've got our video version going this time around, and I do these for the Mock Draft Insanity podcasts when we do them. Mock Draft Insanity is something I put together, I don't know, a couple years ago, because I'm of the inclination that mock drafts are stupid. It's that simple. They're never right, and in more cases than not, they're completely off base. And I tend to mock drafts quite often, but I get it, and they're fun to do. And it can certainly be educational and let you know about picks that are out there and why they may be a good fit for your team. So while I mock them, I try and do what I consider to be the epitome of stupid mock drafts: mock draft insanity. What does that mean? What that means is that I have set up some certain ground rules. The ground rules are trades are allowed and encouraged, and that you have the ability to trade away anything you currently have in your draft profile and anything that is going to be available in the upcoming year. So that means at my disposal, I have the Steelers' full draft complement from 2020 and the Steelers' full draft complement for 2021 to make trades. Now, normally, when I do this, I say I can't actually instigate any trades, and I use a mock draft simulator to do this. I have been using FanDuel for many years to do this, or not FanDuel, FanSided. And, the thing is, I wanted to switch to using the Draft Network, and I paid for my Draft Network subscription, and they still haven't made it work for me. It worked for one day and turned it off, and the Draft Network, you guys are going to get a little bit of grief from me because I've emailed you like 9 times to tell you to fix it, and I've showed you my bank statements, and I've done everything I can possibly do, and you're ignoring me. So screw you guys. I'm going home. Back to the FanSided mock draft simulator. So that's the simulator that I'm using in the background. And as I was saying, normally the way this works is I'm not allowed to instigate trades. And the reason is because the trade always instigates for me off of the first round pick. Here's the problem. We don't have a first round pick this year. So part of my goal in this is to trade back up into the first round, which means the first trade that I am going to do, I have to instigate. So I inspire myself into doing this by watching Draft Day, the Kevin Costner movie about the Browns and all that stuff. I've done that. So my ritual is complete, and it's time for our first mock draft insanity. So here is the scenarios. I'm going to give you all the trades that occur, and there are a lot of them. My goal throughout this is to essentially stockpile as many picks as I can. And remember, the rules are I can trade anything we've got now, and I can trade anything we've got in 2021 to get what I want. Okay, so the only trade I'm instigating in this scenario is the first one. And the first one is I am attempting to get Minnesota to give me pick 22 in the first round. And I'm going to offer them a first-round pick in 2021. I tried to do that straight up. Didn't work. They said, no, screw you, I'm not doing that. So then I said, all right, fine. I'll give you a first and a fourth, but now I want your pick 22 and your pick 26 in the second round and your pick 25 in the third round. So I want 3 picks for a future first. I'm sorry, I said fourth, and a future future third. So I give up a third-round pick in 2021. I give up a first-round pick in 2021 to get 3 picks in 2019. The 22nd pick of the first round, the 26th pick of the second round, 25th pick of the third round. And they do it. And I assume the only reason they do it is they think we're going to stink and that our draft pick will be higher than 22. So I've gotten my first-round pick. Now, from this point on, I'm not instigating any trades. I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting them come to me. So the simulator, the way it will run is sometimes at the beginning of a round, sometimes when it's your turn to pick, a team will approach you and offer you compensation for whatever pick you have. So I'm sitting at pick 22, and I'm just going to lay out the rest of these picks. So here's the way it works. The Dolphins come calling and want to get up to pick 22 for some reason. So what they want from me is pick 22, and what they offer me is pick 26, pick 24 in the second round, and pick 7 in the fifth round in order to move from 26 to 22. But the caveat is on top of that, they would like a future fifth-round pick. So they're asking for 22, a future fifth, and they're going to give me 3. Sure, I'll take the deal. So now I have pick 26 in the first round. And as pick 26 starts to approach, the Seattle Seahawks come a-knocking. And the Seattle Seahawks want my 26th round pick, and they're going to give me the one that's right behind it, 27. So clearly they think either I'm going to take somebody that they want, or they're just worried somebody else is going to trade with me to get somebody they want. They also would like a future pick, a future fourth-round pick. Now, I already gave away a third, I already gave away a first, and I already gave away a fifth. So I've given away a lot of the future already. So why not give away a future fourth? So I'm going to get 26. I'm going to get the 27th pick. I'm going to get the 27th pick in the second round, and I'm going to get the 37th pick in the third round. I do that deal. Now I'm sitting at pick 27, and the Green Bay Packers want to move up 3 spots. So they're going to give me pick 30 in the second, and pick 30 in the fourth for pick 27. I don't have to do anything else. Sure, why not? And I will tell you, I have a guy in mind in the first round that I want, and I think he probably would even be there at the beginning of the second round. So I'm not at all adverse to all these moves back. So I've been moving back, and I will make that pick. I will tell you, I'm going to make pick 30 in the first round. But I'm going to give you the rest of the trades, because 2 more trades occurred during this simulation. Both were in the second round. I was sitting at pick 17, and the Panthers decided they wanted to trade back. So they offered me the 6th pick in the second round for pick 17 and for a 4th rounder, pick 29. Sure, why not? I'll do that. So I take the 6th pick. And then the Baltimore Ravens came a-calling. We'd done a deal already for Chris Wormley. They love me now. I'm the greatest GM in their mind. And they think they can take advantage of me, which they probably can, because I'm now chock full of picks. I've got so many picks, I don't know what to do with them. And what they want to do is they want to move back from pick 23 in the second round. And what they want is picks 28 and picks 26. So they want my second round 26th and my second round 28. They're going to let me move up 3 spots to 23. They're also going to give me pick 30 in the second round, and they're going to give me pick 25 in the third to sweeten the deal. So I'm giving up 2 second-round picks. I'm getting 2 second-round picks that are just slightly behind that, and I'm getting an extra third-round pick. Why not? I'll do it. All right. So that's the end of all the scenarios. If your head is not spinning yet, I don't blame you. And let me just give you a list of the picks that I have now. After all that craziness, the Steelers have the 30th pick in the first, the 6th, the 23rd, the 24th, the 27th, the 28th, and the 30th pick in the second round. In the third round, I have the 25th pick, the 37th, and the 38th pick. In the fourth round, I have 18 and 30, 7th in the 5th, 19th in the 6th, and 18th in the 7th. So that is how our scenario plays out. So now you can understand why this is called mock draft insanity, right? Okay. So here's what I do with all that. That's quite a bit of draft capital, right? More so than they're ever going to get in this draft. And none of this stuff, let me reiterate this, none of this stuff is going to happen. It's just not. But it's nice to dream, right? It's fun. All right, so who do I take at 30 in the first round? I'm taking, and this is the guy I wanted from the get-go, to be honest with you, because I wasn't anticipating them having a first-round pick, and if I wanted to get into the first round, there was a specific reason I wanted to go there, and that was to get this guy, Xavier McKinney out of Alabama, safety. A super versatile guy, just absolutely fantastically versatile. He played both deep zone as a safety, one in the high and the one high in the split. He played man from the slot. He played down near the line. And the thing is, he can win in all of those positions. He can win at any one of those spots. He just projects as a really versatile, dynamic, playmaking guy in your defensive backfield. He's a pretty good tackler, maybe even better than good. He's got a great short area burst and a great football IQ. He's a top-notch guy, and I can just imagine pairing this guy with Minkah Fitzpatrick and having a defensive backfield that could be set for a decade at safety. Now, let me reiterate something about this. I am not anti-Terrell Edmunds. I actually like Terrell Edmunds. But if I've got the ability to make this defense even more sound than it was before, why wouldn't I take that chance? And keep improving it. You've got Edmunds potentially to play in certain other roles, and maybe you can turn him into a slot guy. Maybe you can make him an X factor kind of a defensive back. I like Terrell Edmunds, and I want to keep him around, and I think that he can blossom. But in this scenario, I'm going with Xavier McKinney. Here's the downside. He can take some bad angles. And if you've ever watched, I think the movie is called All the Right Moves. I really don't remember. I've only seen it once or twice. It's one of those stupid 80s teen movies about football with Tom Cruise in it. That if he was really playing the character he's in this movie, it would be sexual predation because he's probably 25 or 27 years old or something like that in the movie, and he's dating a teenager. Anyway, he's supposed to be a teenager in high school, and he plays football, and he has this reputation for taking chances and risks, and sometimes it pays off, and he makes a pick six, and other times he gets burnt for a touchdown and his team loses. Well, that's what I mean when I say he can sometimes take some bad angles. He can take them on tackling sometimes where he ends up going too high and he can't make the tackle. But he also can take them in coverage. And maybe bad is not the right word. Maybe it's an overly aggressive stance that he sometimes takes. His angles can be overly aggressive. But, the downside to him is so small compared to the upside that he's well worth taking. All right, so that's the pick we take at 30. Now we're at pick 6 in the second round. And now we start dipping into my O-line love. Austin Jackson, tackle out of USC. Very good athleticism. He has ideal length for the position. He's very powerful, very strong off the ball in the run game. He really does fire out, and he can be as you say, the guy who's plowing the field, so to speak, in front of a running back. He's very good at holding the point of attack. When he's on combo blocks, he's good at shedding that initial block and moving on to the second level. He does at times have balance issues where his technique may not always be what it's supposed to be. When his technique is good, he is really good. When he lets it slide, he may be getting tired in the second half of a game, then he's not nearly as effective. But I think a lot of that can be coached. Here's the thing. His upside is so big that it's well worth the investment of a pick, even this kind of a high pick. And these are all kind of luxury picks, essentially, for me here in the Steelers, because with safety addressed, in my view, when you have really maybe a 2, at most 3-year window with Ben Roethlisberger to try and win another 1 or 2 Super Bowls, why won't you also stockpile yourself so that when that transition starts to happen, the majority of your team is still in pretty good shape, right? And that means rebuilding the offensive line, because the last thing you need is, once Ben's done, to have a rookie quarterback come in and have the offensive line be a paper towel, and this rookie's running for his life all the time, getting killed. This is a great way to start rebuilding that, getting youth into the organization. I love the Wisniewski signing, to provide them depth now, but this helps build for the future when Al Villanueva may not be there available anymore. Maybe Zach Banner or Matt Filer isn't ready to play tackle, or Chuck Okorafor, whatever it may be. This is a good pick in my view. Very big upside, but he needs some work to get there. Now at pick 23 in the second round, it's J.K. all day. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins. Yes. Look, I've been picking J.K. Dobbins in almost every mock draft. I've been saying it on all the mock draft shows. I've been saying it in the podcast for 2 months now. J.K. all day. I love J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins, when the first thing you think of J.K. Dobbins is his vision. He has great vision. Look, I watch every Ohio State game. I'm an Ohio State guy and a Steelers guy. Everybody should know that by now, and if you don't, now you do. He's powerful, very strong. The legs are just ridiculously strong. They talk about it on TV. His squat's like 7 billion pounds or something ridiculous like that. He squats trucks on the end of a barbell. I don't know what he does, but it's huge. And that vision and that strength help him attack the defense. He attacks it with that, and he adds great decision-making on top of that. He knows where to go. He knows what to do. He's got patience a la a Le'Veon Bell type of patience, but he also is quick to attack a crease when it's there. He has great footwork. He's so smooth when you watch him. He's got a low center of gravity, and as I said, crazy strong. He's really good in pass protection. He's really good at diagnosing what to do based on what the attack of the defense is. So that's a lot of upside for a guy. The downside, he's not necessarily the best route runner in the world. But here's the thing. That's something he can prove at. He's got the kind of footwork and the kind of football intelligence that would make you think he can pick this part of the game up, right? If J.K. Dobbins is there, which I think he will be in the second round at 23, he may still be there on the board at 49. And I'm not adverse to taking J.K. Dobbins, period. It doesn't mean that I think he has to carry the load in 2020. I don't. I think James Conner is a really good back. I don't think he's going to be long-term for the Steelers because of his injury history. And if you can do a running back by committee to help a rookie running back start to acclimate themselves to the NFL, to the workload that's necessary in the NFL, then if you move on from Conner next year, you've got a guy ready. So that's how all of that works for this. I think that could be what we need. From this point on, the next pick, 24th, we're still on the board. We get to pick 2 in a row. Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU. He's a center. Another very versatile guy. He could be either a center or a guard at the pro level. He has rare length at center, and it helps him win at the point of attack when he makes first contact. Very good grip strength. Once he gets a hold of somebody, he oftentimes they can't get loose from him. He's got good power with his core. Again, it's the versatility that makes him special in my mind. He does need work, as almost all these guys always do, but he can be a very fantastic fit. And again, you pair him with Jackson and another guy that I'm going to take a couple steps on, and you've got the core of another great offensive line sitting right behind the one you have. So 24, Lloyd Cushenberry. 27th pick, second round, Damon Arnett. My scarlet and gray is coming through. Damon Arnett, cornerback out of Ohio State. Again, good size, athleticism, not the best size in the world. He's 6 foot. But that's good size. He's willing to run, willing to take part in run game. He is willing to get up there and put his nose in there and hit. If you give him the time to develop, I think he can be a replacement for Hayden or Nelson. Is he going to be a lockdown corner? I don't know about that. But he's a real good press corner, and he's going to make plays on the ball. He doesn't get as many interceptions as he might because he's heavily used in press, which means his back is generally to the quarterback, and he doesn't always get his head around in time to get the ball. But he's very good at press, and he will make plays to get the ball out and defend the pass. So he's not necessarily the fastest guy. He can get beat deep if he lets somebody get by him, but he's so good at the press that it's hard to get by him. He can also play outside and inside if needed. I think he's a very, very good fit and could be a guy that the Steelers count on down the road. And when they get to that point where they have to start making bad decisions, about Joe Hayden or Steven Nelson, he's a guy that might be able to be there. So in those instances, why not start doing that right now and get it all ready? So that's who we've got here. Now, as we move on from Damon Arnett, here's what I was talking about as part of building your full-time next version of offensive line. That would be Cesar Ruiz. I'm surprised he's still on the board. If you got Ruiz and Cushenberry in the same draft, that's insane. Those are the top 2 center prospects in this draft, in my mind. Cesar Ruiz out of that team up north. I can't say the name. I'm sorry. We got Devin Bush on our team. I still can't say the name of that team up north. That team up north. So it would be crazy to have them both. Again, he's a versatile guy, right? I think you have Jackson, you have Ruiz, you have Cushenberry. You've got an offensive line to take over when this offensive line is gone. You're in really good shape, I think, for the next iteration of this. So that's who I'm taking at 28. Last pick in the second round is 30, and I'm going to take Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC, wide receiver. When I watch him, the thing that strikes me is his hands. He's got great hands, fantastic hands. Hines Ward-like hands, right? He plucks the ball out of the air, away from his frame. He's really strong hands, just strong hands. And I think, he's a guy that is much like Hines Ward in the sense that when a ball's thrown near him, he's going to catch it. I mean, it's kind of, that's simple. He doesn't, he's good at contested catches. He can make a really good adjustment to the ball. And, he's got a lot of upside. Downside, he needs some work to help himself learn how to clear coverage, right? When press coverage sometimes overwhelms him and he can't get clear of it. He's not the fastest guy initially. He's a long strider, which means as time goes by, he can create space in the route, but he's not going to be the guy that just bursts away from guys. So those are the downsides to him. But I really like him as a potential receiver and adding him to the receiver room. So that's the guy that I took at 30. Now we're into the third round, and all right. I'm going back to my Buckeyes. Malik Harrison, linebacker out of Ohio State. All right, why am I taking Malik Harrison? Well, I'll tell you. I like Vince Williams. I like pairing Vince Williams and Devin Bush. We no longer have Mark Barron. We've got Ulysses Gilbert. Maybe Ulysses Gilbert's going to be a great linebacker, but maybe he's not. And you can never have too many. So Vince Williams, getting a little long in the tooth, kind of like me, got the gray. I don't know if he's really got gray or not. I love Vince Williams. And I'm glad he's still on the team. But, his career is probably winding down as opposed to winding up. So why not start to get a guy who maybe can be the next kind of a Vince Williams type of linebacker, a good, strong run supporter. Malik Harrison can be that guy. The thing is, he can be more than that guy. He's a guy that can drop into coverage. He's a guy that can play 3-down football and doesn't have to come off the field. Is he as fast or dynamic as Devin Bush? No, but can he pair with Devin Bush? Yes, he's a great inside rusher. I watched every Ohio State game, so this is a guy I'm familiar with, and hence, at this point in the draft, when you're down late in the third round, if you can get a guy that you can sit for a year or play sparingly for a year and could develop into a quality starter, you take him, and that's what I think Malik Harrison could be. Now, as we get later in the third round, I have pick 37. So I have pick 37 and 38, so I'm on the board back-to-back again. I could do these in either order. It really doesn't matter because, again, I have them back-to-back. But with the signing of Eric Ebron, tight end didn't feel like a priority to me, and I really wasn't going to invest in one. But this particular guy is still on the board, and I don't know how long-term Vance McDonald is. There may come a time when they decide to cut bait with him and let him go. And it would be good to have a dynamic pass-catching tight end in the fold as well, and a guy who maybe can learn to be a good inside blocker and maybe take over as a starter. So I took Albert O. I'm not going to try and say his last name. No, you can try and tell me how to pronounce it, and I'll still screw it up. I could listen to it 100 times. I'm going to say it wrong. So I'm not going to say his last name, but Albert O. out of Missouri, tight end. That's who I'm taking at 37 in the third. Very good athleticism and versatility. Again, he's a guy that in the run game, his willingness is the best trait he has. He will get his nose in there and stick it in there to come off the ball, strike, and go forward. He's got okay technique. I don't know if I would go as far as to call it good. He's a decent blocker. He does keep his hands inside when he's blocking, which is good. So he's not necessarily going to get called for a lot of holding penalties and things of that nature. The biggest downside is injury. He's missed time due to injury, but he's a guy who performed well at the Combine, looks very dynamic, and I think could be a true weapon for the Steelers moving forward. And why not take him? So... then, the other area that they need depth is at edge. So with 38, I'm taking a guy who has already been sort of linked to the Steelers several times in many mock drafts. That's Alex Highsmith out of Charlotte. Small school guy. He has great quickness, great snap anticipation. Those are probably his biggest strengths as well as his hands. He's a good hand fighter. The problem is he doesn't have a lot of length. He can't teach length, right? He's more of a smaller frame kind of guy. And so he has difficulty separating sometimes from larger offensive tackle types. And that's due to that length disparity. He needs to get stronger. But again, this is a guy who can develop. And at this point in the draft, you put him behind the other guys, and he develops, and you're in good shape. You got a guy for the future. So that's who I took at 38 in the third. So we go into the fourth round. And I'm sad that Javon Hargrave is gone. I'm sad. It makes me sad. Jay Wobble isn't here anymore. The Gravedigger, whatever nickname you want to call him, he's not here anymore. And, do the Steelers have a true nose tackle? Do they even need one? I don't know. The nose tackle in this defense plays less time, than the majority of the rest of the guys. So how important is it? I don't know. But there is certainly a chance that they would look to bolster the defensive line and bolster it with a guy who can play that 1 or that 0 spot. And so Leki Fotu out of Utah is still on the board for me in round 4 at pick 18, and that's who I'm taking. He's got a great first step, and that's really why I'm picking him. He reminds me a little bit of Javon Hargrave. That quickness off the ball, the ability to not necessarily anticipate but react quickly as the center moves, allows him to win quick. Good run defender, solid run defender in the middle. But that's really what appears to be the top end for him, is being that nose tackle type guy. Not going to give you a huge pass rush, not going to get you lots of sacks, not going to get you tons of penetration, but he's going to be able to hold the line on those early downs. And when the Steelers are in that base defense, it's a guy I think that can definitely contribute, and maybe contribute early. So Leki Fotu out of Utah. Now, when you start to get this deep, round pick 30 in the fourth, right? When you start to get this deep into the draft, these are guys that are either truly developmental guys. You don't anticipate them being heavy contributors in their first year. You may not necessarily anticipate them being more than special teams guys. You see potential, and you try and figure out a way to use it. Now, the guy that I'm picking at 30 he's a master of all trades, or a jack of all trades, but a master of none, right? He's not elite at anything as far as I can tell, but he can do a lot of stuff. It's a wide receiver. He's out of Kentucky. His name's Lynn Bowden. And here's a guy, he can catch the ball, he can run the ball, he can pass the ball. He has a little Antoine Randall maybe in him. A kind of guy that, can do some of those gadgety type plays, can be used in Wildcat in a different kind of way, and has the threat to throw, unlike a James Conner or a Jalen Samuels, where you just don't think they're going to throw the ball. You never think they're going to throw the ball. This guy could. He could throw the ball. And again, he's not great at anything. He's not elite at anything in my view, but he's good at a lot of things. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter. I don't think he's ever going to be, you're a guy you can count all the time, but he's that unique component to an offense that can give you some spice, maybe. And again, what else do I got to do with these picks? I mean, I got so many picks. What am I supposed to do with them? So Lynn Bowden out of Kentucky is who I pick in the fourth round at 30. So we're in the fifth round. I got one pick in the fifth round, and we're going to start to ease off. And again, let me repeat, at this point in the draft, these are developmental guys at best, and maybe just camp bodies at worst. But this is a guy I actually think it could be interesting. that I take at the 7th pick in the 5th round. He played for Texas Tech, and I don't watch tons of film. I kind of lean on the professor and Derek Overly and a couple of the other draft guys to give me knowledge. I watch as much film as I can, but I don't have time to watch film as much as they do, or the dedication to do so. So I rely on them. But I did try and find some circumstances, and here's why. This is a linebacker. His name's Jordan Brooks. That's who I'm taking at the 7th pick. And he's a physical, he's a rangy, downhill kind of linebacker. An old school kind of linebacker, the kind of linebacker that's going to stuff the run. But I can't find an instance of this guy dropping back into pass coverage. I don't think it happens. So that means he's a very limited linebacker, right? I didn't see any coverage at Tech. So the thing I did notice is he appears to have the physical abilities to do it. He's just never been asked to, as far as I can tell. Maybe the reason he's never been asked to is scheme. Maybe it's because he can't do it. It's possible, right? Maybe he just can't. But again, at this point, this is a guy who could potentially be a very big special teams contributor, could fill in on early downs at linebacker if you needed him to give guys a break. And he might have the ability to be developed. Project kind of guy. Take a flyer on him and add another linebacker to the room. Okay. So that's 6th round or 7th or 5th round, 6th round now. Pick 19, totally a developmental project here. This is a guy, he doesn't have a lot of reps, but he showed some flashes of things. So this is Trevis, I may be saying it wrong, Gipson, Gipson, out of Tulsa. Again, totally a developmental guy. He's got the physical traits. His reach and his frame are kind of ideal to be an edge guy. He just doesn't have the reps to make you think he can contribute early on. He doesn't have the experience. He flashes some bendiness, right? And he's got some rip and dip to him, as they say. But that's kind of about it. He needs to learn how to fight better with his hands. He needs to develop his pass rush moves. But this late in the draft, that's kind of what you expect. Here's a guy, he's got the size, he's got the physical traits and qualities that you're looking for in a high elite end edge rusher. He just doesn't have all the whole package in the training. So this is a guy you have to coach up. This is a guy you have to get to learn. This is maybe to a lesser extent the kind of guy Bud Dupree is, but Bud Dupree was a physical freak. And I don't know that that's necessarily true of Gipson. But if you can get him this late in the draft and add, again, some more developmental stuff for your edge, why not? Okay, so that's the 6th round. Now, here we go in the 7th round. Now, let me just warn you in advance. I have been consistently saying that we should mock any mock draft that drafts a quarterback because the Steelers aren't drafting a quarterback. They're not going to. They don't need to. Not now. But I have heard the cacophony of comments in our podcast. Oh, yeah, you draft quarterback. Ah. And, okay, so I'm giving you guys what you want. You want me to draft a quarterback? Here we go. 7th round. I'm drafting a quarterback. Who is he? Jake Luton out of Oregon State. It's the 7th round. Who cares? Why not? You guys wanted a quarterback? I gave you a quarterback. Every other hole is filled, right? All right. Look, here's the thing about Jake Luton. He looks the part. He's got the ideal size for a pocket passer, right? Kind of offense the Steelers run. He looks the part, but he's got okay arm strength. But he doesn't have great arm strength. When he has to throw certain routes, he really has to work hard at it, right? He has to do a lot to generate the necessary velocity on the ball. Can he grow? Maybe. Who knows? I look at him as a guy who is what they want Landry Jones to be, what they want Mason Rudolph to be in my mind. They want a guy to develop as a backup. Here's a guy that maybe can develop as a backup. Look, Landry Jones' contract's going to be up, not Landry Jones. Landry Jones is in the XFL, unless Joe has his say and we re-sign him because we need extra quarterbacks. That was our April Fool's podcast last time around. Anyway, Mason Rudolph's contract is going to be, his rookie contract's going to be up soon. So the question is, do they think he can become that developmental guy that they want him to be, or do they not? And if they don't, maybe this is the guy that they could turn into that, fill that role. It's not going to be an elite starter in the NFL. This is not a franchise quarterback. And if you think you're going to draft franchise quarterbacks in the 7th round, especially late in the 7th round, it's not going to happen. But you never know. You never know. Maybe he can be the bridge guy. Maybe he can be the guy that gets us to the next franchise quarterback with some development. And at this point, I've drafted everything else I can think of because I had 97 billion picks from all the craziness that I did. So that's who I drafted, Jake Luton. So let me just run it down for you once again real quick. With the 30th pick, we take Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. With in the second round, we took Austin Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Lloyd Cushenberry, Damon Arnett, and Cesar Ruiz, as well as Michael Pittman Jr. Malik Harrison was the first pick in the third round. Then we took Albert O, Alex Highsmith, and then in the fourth round, we took Leaky Fotu and Lynn Bowden Jr., Jordan Brooks in the fifth, Travis Gibson in the sixth, and Jake Luton, quarterback out of Oregon State, in the seventh. So that's my insanity. Now, look, the next time I do one of these, and we will do several of these before the draft hits, it won't be quite as crazy. I tend to get more sane. The mock draft insanity becomes more mock draft sanity as we get closer to the draft. Although this year it may not, because normally it gets that way because we have a much better insight into where the Steelers are going to go. But it's going to be much more difficult to track visits. It's, with the world as it is right now, it's not like these guys are coming into town. So it's going to be a little more difficult to know who they've talked to and who they're interested in, and they're not going to be doing dinners and all those kind of things. So maybe I'll just stay nuts. I don't know. But we will also finally, usually right before the draft hits, we try and do a full, first round draft, mock draft of everybody. We'll probably try and do that for 2 rounds since the Steelers don't pick till second round, just to see how a scenario plays out, and we get everybody in the draft rooms to jump on one big podcast, and we try and do one. So that's it. Again, we just want to let everybody know we hope you're being safe. Hope you're doing the things you need to do. Stay away from all those bacteria. Wash your hands. Do what you got to do to stay safe in these crazy, crazy, crazy times. We certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen. We love it when you like it. We love your comments, even the ones that are mean and nasty and horrible. Nobody's really that bad. But, even when you don't agree with us, tell us. That's cool. We dig it. So like, subscribe. I think that's everything. Like, subscribe, and watch. And this time, you got to see, the palace, the palatial, the room. It hasn't changed much since the last time I did one of these, but it's probably been a year ago or so ago. I have changed a little bit, And look, you got to give me. Don't tell me my hair is stupid, because I'm not used to having hair, right? I usually have my head very close shaved, kind of what they call it, a high and tight, like a Marine haircut. Not that I was a Marine, but I was in the Air Force, ROTC. So I'm used to having a high and tight, but I'm going to do a mud run in July, provided that the virus lets me do a mud run in July. And I like to have a nice long mohawk when I do the mud run. So I gotta get some length before then. But I don't understand the concept of hair. I can't figure out how to make it do what it's supposed to do. So I ain't doing mousse and all that crap. The hell with it. I ain't doing it. But we'll see how it goes. So that's going to wrap it up for this version of Mock Draft Insanity for the Steel City Underground podcast. Again, my name is Brian E Roach. You can follow me on Twitter if you so choose, at Cannons Don't Thun. Yes, it's a Jimmy Buffett lyric. And follow me there. Follow me on Facebook. I have an Instagram account, and you can follow it, but I don't know how to use it, so I never am on there. And other than that, we look forward to spending some time with you again next time around. And as I like to say at the end of all of these, it's chaos out there, and it really is nowadays. So be kind. Talk to you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.